Making good loops is a cheat code for producers, not only to make money, but also to network. Some producers make 5 figures per month just from collab sales on BeatStars. And being the loop guy is also the proven best way to get placements if you have no connections. That is why it's such a common way for producers to make their first money. But somehow most producers struggle to consistently make loops and don't know how to find the inspiration to cook up stuff every single day. I used to be in the same position and barely make any loops, but I developed a system that helped me to make a solid amount of loops every single month so that I can network with producers and make money off those loops. This is the stuff that you really need to know if you struggle making a lot of music. And that is also the stuff that you don't see anybody talk about. In those other videos, they will only tell you about how to DM a big type beat producer or how to make money off those loops. And those are great skills, but nobody tells you about the most important part, how to really log in and make a lot of loops so that you can use those strategies. And that's why I want to share with you the 3 things that help me the most to boost my creative energy and to make loops consistently, and I promise you they will help you too. And the first one is lower your expectations. Not every loop has to be a Beethoven symphony. These YouTube tutorials make it seem like every loop has to be super complex, but in most cases that's because those producer cookup channels mainly have a producer audience which is impressed by super complex beats and super complex loops. But if your sound selection is on point and you have a catchy melody, you don't need 5 layers, 6 counters and 12 accent sounds to make a great loop, which doesn't mean that a loop with 10 sounds can't be good, but only when it makes sense for the sound, like in this loop for example. This loop probably has around 10 sounds too, but sometimes I make a loop which has a main melody, a counter, and that's it. Not every single loop has to be the greatest loop ever. For example, in my most clicked beat on YouTube, which has about 60,000 views, the melody has just around 2 melodic components. And I sold this beat multiple times because the melody has enough space to still rap on it or sing on it. And by the way, if you want to get this soul loop that I just showed you, you can join my free Discord where I post loops like that every single week. You can find the link in the video description. It's always better to just get a loop done and collect the W for yourself and send it out or post it into a Discord server, because done is better than perfect. What basically means finishing an idea and not being 100% satisfied with the outcome is always better than chasing perfection and not finishing the idea. If you don't want to finish an idea, you can still bounce out what you already got and send it out as a starter so that another producer can give his input and finish the idea for you. Or you use starters of other producers, which is also a great way to get more loops done. If you lower your expectations on how complex a loop should be and how great a loop should be, you can make way more loops. In best case, you have no expectations at all. And if you reduce what you're doing to the absolute minimum, way more people will use your stuff as well, since artists like to pick those type of loops for their beats. You also don't have to try to make up a new genre with every single loop, which leads into the second point. You don't want to reinvent the wheel. You can use stuff that already exists to come up with new ideas every single day. That is totally fine. You can find videos on YouTube that will show you that tons of songs are made with the same 4 chords. And I will tell you why this is an absolute cheat code in a second. Before that, I want to talk about another great way on how to spice up your loops with existing ideas. And one is to use sound phrases. And since that is such a great way, I put together a brand new sound kit which makes it so easy to make amazing melodic, pain and soul vibes, since it has a bunch of guitar phrases, guitar counters, piano top lines, accent sounds, and a ton of MIDIs for chord progression and melodies to either start ideas or spice up your ideas. You can just drag and drop those sounds into your playlist and either use them how they are or manipulate them in the way you want, which opens up endless possibilities for you. This kit also comes with a super nice drum kit and 35 of my best loops from this year. If you are interested in an easy way to make fire loops, you can check out the first link in the video description. But let's talk about how you can use existing chord progressions to make your own loops with them. Cause good artists copy, great artists steal. And please don't take that literal. Rick Rubin has a great way to describe that. He describes that influence as a cloud. That cloud turns into rain and becomes part of the ocean until it becomes a cloud again. So it went from being a cloud to being a cloud. But it's not the same cloud, even though it's out of the first cloud. And to put that into perspective, if you study the game in a specific genre, you will notice that you can use the same chords from an existing song to create a similar vibe, but make it your own by playing the chords in a different way, using a different instrument, or playing a different melody. That's how influence works, but that's not the only way. You can also take a look at and see what other producers are doing and get inspired by that. For example, if you buy a loop kit or someone sends loops to you that you really like, you can see what you like about them. If you really want to make great loops on a regular, looking at those who are already great at it helps so much to see what really works. As I said, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. And that leads into my last point, which will help you to come up with ideas super fast. But before I will tell you what it is, let me know in the comments how many loops per month you usually make. I will come back to your comment in a month to see if the things that I told you in this video really worked. So let me know how many loops per month you usually make at the moment. The last thing that I'm super confident in that helps to come up with ideas on a daily basis, and it's to become a master at a few genres. That is what develops your sound the most. If you are a specialist in 2 or 3 different genres, you will have no problem to make loops. I believe being known for one main sound helps your brand the most, but I also believe that it makes making loops so much easier. I talked about that part in a different video too. where I also talked a little bit more about how to get the loops to the right people, which I will don't cover in this video, but if you want to watch that video as well, I will let you know at the end of the video where to find it. But basically a subgenre has common chord progressions and a common combination of sounds that create that typical vibe of that genre. And if you know those for 2 or 3 different genres, you can combine them to create your own sound. That's how influence in music works. You take the best from this, you take the best from that, and you put it together and make your own thing with it. And that's why it's super helpful to not only listen to rap music. You can adapt so many things from listening to jazz, pop, funk, soul, or rock music to your own loops, even if it's hip-hop or trap or whatever you want to call it. Not doing that would be a big mistake, and not getting good at loops is a big mistake too. But you can also make a couple other mistakes on your producer journey, and I made a lot of them. And if you want to know what they look like, and how to avoid them, you can check out this video. And if you want to watch the other video where I talk about how to make money off your loops, you can click this video.